Now, the European Union apparently will not tolerate, I love the language, will not tolerate a takeover of Greenland by the United States. France has warned, my goodness, Trump against threatening the bloc's sovereign borders. Wow, the greed of the European Union, the coveting of additional nations. Last time I checked, Greenland is not a member of the EU. So they're salivating at it. They want it. They want it. All jokes aside, though, I find this to be extremely interesting. So the mindset that is being pushed by the European Union on the average citizen is that nation states are kind of like economic zones. They're just a plot of land where transactions get to happen. So if a person from Syria travels to Germany and he gets the paperwork, he just becomes a German. It's not like the old mindset where it's about culture, heritage, like you have a connection to that land. In fact, if I'm not mistaken, the online dictionary even changed the definition to remove any type of requirement for like some sort of ethnicity or connection. No. It's just, you change your paperwork and you just become. You transition into a German. And so why can't Greenland transition into the United States? It's just an economic zone, right? I mean, again, like that's the mindset. Am I thinking incorrectly? Am I wrong? Like nationalism bad, right? So why is European Union displaying such disgusting levels of far-right nationalism? What does it matter if Greenland wants to become part of the US, if the people there vote? Why can't we just change the paperwork and they just, the economic zone goes from one place to another? Oh, all of a sudden it's about patriotism. Right. So like patriotism is only towards the nation state, the sovereign, like that. That's the only thing. Regarding the people, they're interchangeable cogs. They're like human resources, replaceable parts, percentages. But we should all care about the plot of land for some reason. What I also find interesting is that the European Union prides itself. It's like we are defending Europe from Russia. This is like one of their main propaganda talking points. Like without the EU, the Russians would invade. Well, aren't the Russians less likely to invade if part of Europe belongs to the United States? Like they would never invade the United States. If something bad happens, I can seek refuge in Greenland. Another thing that the European Union is priding itself on is the fact that people can travel freely, right? The United States just waived the visas from Romanians. Like I can now visit America without actually going to America. Like I can still be in Europe and I can visit America if Greenland belongs to the US. I can go there, I can start shooting guns, I can have free speech. I mean, hell, maybe even the taxes are better. I don't know, like maybe as a content creator, as a YouTuber, I can see if it's not actually more advantageous for me to just simply move to Greenland. So it's interesting that they're indoctrinating the people that live in Europe to view these things as good, right? Like nationalism is far right and evil. Having no borders is actually amazing. And plots of lands are like economic zones. And so, like, what's the problem? Why should I be against the United States buying Greenland? If it does so without conflict, if it does so without the military, if it does so in a peaceful way, and Greenland simply wants to sign, and they actually want to join the US, what's the problem? Why should I be against it? And so let's assume that the European Union dislikes this. Like, what are they going to do? Threaten the Americans? With what? War? Like, am I supposed to pick up arms and fight the Americans? Are you insane? Are you local? Like, do you actually think the people from the European Union would support that? But even further than that, do you think the people from the EU would support any type of boycott to America or any type of aggression? It's like, no, America is actually the thing that keeps us safe from the Russians, not the European Union. NATO is what keeps us safe, and NATO without America doesn't exist. And so, I'm sorry to say this, European Union, but if you're actually going to poll people and you're going to see if the populations from Europe like America more than the European Union, you're going to be for a rude awakening. There may be some countries that don't, by the way. Like, there may be some countries where America polls weaker, probably in Germany. I don't know, maybe in France. But in Eastern Europe, holy shit. I even think that the people from Greenland themselves are going to poll America far more favorably than the European Union. The European Union brings regulations. The average people don't enjoy regulations. They don't like bureaucracy. Like, that's not a selling point. What is a selling point is the concept of being able to travel freely. And so if you tell people that's a good thing, why would they be against traveling freely to the United States? Like, again, if you go to Greenland, you take a plane, and you go to Greenland, you would be in the US as a European. You would actually be able to go to Greenland and maybe even start a business there and get a completely different level of taxation and stuff. So, good luck with that. Good luck talking people into believing that America taking over Greenland is a bad idea. Maybe if you had the social media. Oh yeah, you can't, because you have the GDPR bullshit. So we're using the American social media. Right. Maybe if you had the military. Oh yeah, you can't. We don't have a military. We're using the NATO military. Maybe we could boycott America and say, hey, we're not going to sell you goods and services. Oh yeah, we can't. Most of our industry is in China. And so, how are you threatening America? Like culturally you cannot, economically you cannot, militarily you cannot. The only thing you have is regulations, and the Americans are pissing on your regulations. No, seriously, this would actually be amazing for European. I'm not shilling for America, but like, think about it. Every single startup company would go to Greenland. Like, if you're an IT guy, if you're someone that wants to start a new business project, you would go to Greenland because now you're in the United States. And now you don't have to do with the bullshit bureaucracy that comes from the European Union. Of course they're threatened by this. They know that their way of life is not sustainable. They regulate everything, including the size of a banana, including the shit you can post on social media. Holy shit, all the OnlyFans girls can go to Greenland. Don't laugh about the OnlyFans girls. Like, they're an economic powerhouse in Europe. I'm not kidding. Like, in Romania alone, there's like around 300,000 women that do video chat. And then you have like the auxiliary personnel, you know, the Andrew Tates and so on and so forth. Like, they're a significant part of the GDP. I know it sounds ridiculous, but most Americans don't talk about it. Now, imagine if they go to Greenland and they pay taxes to Americans and they don't have to pay health insurance. See, this is a concept that just doesn't exist. Like, what if I don't want to be insured? It's like, what do you mean by it? No, seriously, I don't want to be insured. I just don't. I'll deal with it myself. If I get sick, that's my business. I don't want to get insured. You can't have that in a lot of places in Europe. And so you can be like, yeah, I want to go to Greenland. All the US has to do is to give some tax havens, and it's going to completely fuck the EU. It's just going to be like, yeah, sure, different taxation level for Greenland. You come here, you don't have to pay this and that. So you would have, but even with the taxes, as I mentioned, you would have startups, like people that want to do stuff with AI, people that want to do stuff with social media, like everyone can just go to Greenland. As a person from the European Union, as a citizen, it's extremely advantageous for me. Like, I'm placed in the position of the employer that wants the H-1B visas. Except this is backwards. I'm the immigrant that is placed in the position of enjoying that one of the economic zones close to me would belong to the US. And all of a sudden, the countries are freaking out. The politicians are freaking out. Interesting. So when it's about bringing people here, when it's about bringing immigrants here, if I freak out, I'm a racist. But when it's about the countries switching sides, the government can freak out. No, I think you're a racist. I think you just don't like the Americans. Again, assuming that this would be done voluntarily, right? Like, the people of Greenland would decide that, no, we actually want to join America. I know the politics is a lot more complicated. Regarding all of this, I don't care what Trump says in front of the press, okay? Like, that circus, that's not legally binding. The negotiations that he will actually have with the Danish government, that's what matters. I don't know how those will be like. I personally hope that America is not going to start threatening its allies, even economically. Because, and I've mentioned in another video, But America, as the world hegemon, one of the things that it done perfect is the fact that it didn't rule by fear. It didn't govern by fear. The Soviet Union governed by fear, but the Americans did not. The Americans, among their allies, among Canada, among the European Union, and so on, at least the people, right? Not necessarily the politicians, but the people, they genuinely love America. Like people in Eastern Europe, they genuinely love America. It's because it was a cultural powerhouse. The same way that a lot of weebs love Japan because they grew up with anime, a lot of Eastern Europeans love America because of Hollywood, because of music. And so the mindset of freedom is what's all. And if you get away with that, if you start showing that, no, actually, if America wants something from you, it will take it, you create a different world hegemon. And it makes people suspicious. It makes people not trust America. And that would be sad. Because, again, you know, like America did a lot of bad shit, but it did it in its backyard. It did it in the Middle East. And so it's out of sight, out of mind for a lot of Europeans. Again, I'm looking at it objectively as a superpower and comparing it with other world superpowers that existed in the past. And I think like America compared to what else could be a runner-up, like China, I think America is a good nation to have as a world superpower. And I don't wish for its goodwill to be squandered away over displays of intimidation and force towards its allies. Because let's not forget, recently the bombing of the German pipeline has soured a little bit of the relations. And then you also have the thing with Greenland and Canada right now. So like people are a little bit on edge. Now again, legally speaking, I would like if this is done consensually. I would unironically cherish the concept of Greenland becoming part of the US, because then, as I mentioned, I can visit the United States without having to leave Europe. And it would be great. Also the business opportunities. But the European Union spurging out is hilarious. Like, you don't have any bargaining chip against the United States. Unless you want to become like China. If you want to become like China and start banning social media, oh, hold on a little bit. Just a second. Chotobate, aren't we buying gas from the US now? Oh, that's right. We are buying LNG, right? We're buying LNG from the United States. So we can't take gas from Russia. And now you're saying that we may not take gas from the United States? Yeah, see, this is one of the things with the gas from Russia. The reason it was bad is because when you take gas from Russia, you're dependent on what Russia says. So like if Russia tells you you need to do something, you gotta do it because you get the gas from them, right? And if you don't play ball, they can make the prices more expensive. They can just stop supplying the same amount. They can hurt you really bad. The same thing applies if you take gas from the United States. Like they can also say, oh, you don't agree with us? We may stop selling as much LNG as we used to. We may raise the price. And who gets to suffer then? Macron? No, he still has heating at the palace. It's going to be, well, actually in France, not so much because they have nuclear reactors. They didn't go mentally retarded. But the people in Germany would definitely suffer. Yeah. Anyway, let me know what you guys think. And as usual, I will see you in the comment section. Take care.